Hey, thanks for joining me today for the Get Me Ready to Buy podcast. This is episode 3, and during all these episodes, we're navigating the buyer's success path. It's the path that gets you successfully from thinking about buying a home to actually sleeping in your own bed in that new home and beyond. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about 3 benefits of using a buyer's agent.
Buying a home is exciting, but the process can be overwhelming. Trying to understand all of the paperwork, financing, and what you need to do can be stressful. Without knowing what you're doing or where things stand, it's hard to move forward. Or worse, you could make a mistake that costs you thousands of dollars. That's where the Get Me Ready to Buy podcast, hosted by Jeff Jones, comes in. Jeff is a realtor, coach, and entrepreneur. He helps take the guesswork out of home buying by providing you with the details, resources, and professionals that make the process easier to understand so you can successfully buy your next home with confidence. Now here's Jeff.
Now I know that may sound a little bit self-serving because, yes, I function as a buyer's agent. It's how I make a living, pay my bills, give us the lifestyle that we have. It's not a lavish lifestyle, but it takes care of us. Anyway, a buyer's agent is important for you to consider just think about this. According to the National Association of Realtors, 86% of sellers use an agent. And only 10% of the homes sold, because I know that's 14% that didn't use one, but all those homes didn't sell. But of the homes that sold, only 10% were sold for sale by owner, meaning they did not use a listing agent to sell their home. They did all of the work themselves. They did all of the marketing themselves. But some of those don't cooperate with a buyer's agent. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. And what that means is more money for you out of pocket. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But just know that most sellers, 86% of them, used an agent, meaning they have somebody negotiating for them, advocating for them, taking care of all the details for them. And if you just call the number on the sign and get that listing agent, some states allow the listing agent to work with buyers and other states don't because they're kind of lack the ability to be loyal to both parties, knowing personal information about each one. They're not able to be loyal. So some states don't allow it or make it extremely difficult. Anyway, you just need to know that most sellers use a listing agent, so it's to your benefit to have someone representing you. And today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the benefits of a buyer's agent, finding a buyer's agent, and the cost of a buyer's agent. But let's dive right into 3 benefits of a buyer's agent. I already mentioned one of those, that having a buyer's agent is somebody who is a personal advocate for you. This personal advocate is somebody who is pursuing your best interest. Their paycheck is not their top priority. That's not exactly what they're looking for. Yes, they're going to get a paycheck at the end of the day. Yes, it's going to help them further their life, their goals, their dreams, whatever, just like you when you get a paycheck. But that's not what's driving us. It's not what should be driving us. We're going to get that paycheck, but first and foremost, a buyer's agent represents you. They can't speak for you, but they speak on your behalf, if that makes sense. They can't tell a listing agent or a seller, yes, the buyer is going to do this, or I'll talk them into doing this. Only if they've had a conversation with you and you've talked through some what-if scenarios can that buyer's agent actually speak on your behalf. We have to have a conversation with you. We have to know what your plan is because we advocate for you, not us. The goal is not for us to get to the end of the contract and get a paycheck, and so whatever it takes for us to get there, but it's to actually navigate for you to be successful at what it is you're looking for, and that is to get in a home. So a buyer's agent, as a personal advocate, pursuing your best interest, not a paycheck, they represent you, and they're going to handle issues that come up on your behalf. Anything that pops up, we're going to come back to you and say, hey, we had this thing happen. The seller would like to change this on the offer that we made, or here's the inspection report, here's what the appraiser had to say. Hey, the seller's building a new home, but we found out that they're going to be delayed being able to move in because of weather. It's going to be an extra 2 weeks. Are we able to negotiate that and we hold off close or hold off you moving in? But there's going to be all kinds of issues that pop up. And as your personal advocate pursuing your best interest, we're going to handle those issues for you on your behalf. Not making those decisions for you, but presenting them to you and then handling whatever has to happen from there. Another role of us as a personal advocate for you is that we're going to negotiate on your behalf. We want you to get what you want, if at all possible, or at least as much as possible. Now, you may need to adjust your goals or adjust your plans of what it is you want because we're not able to find that. A particular house that you want has everything that you want, but it's just outside your price range, and we're not able to negotiate that seller coming down $50,000 to get you the home that you want. So be careful with your expectations, because our negotiation only goes so far, but at the end of the day, negotiating on your behalf is to get you what it is you want. And we know that ahead of time because we've talked about those expectations. So the first benefit of working with a buyer's agent is you have a personal advocate. The second benefit to having a buyer's agent represent you is you have an expert advisor. Now, there are all kinds of different levels of experts. You've got agents who have been, or realtors who have been realtors for a very brief time. They're brand new. You've got some that have been realtors for a few years and some long-term veterans. Just because they're new doesn't mean they're not effective. And just because they've been around for a long time doesn't mean they are effective. You just need to weigh that out as you're talking to them. And we're going to talk about a little bit later on how you find a buyer's agent. But you just need to be aware of that. Their length of time as a realtor may not have all the impact on their ability to advise as you may think. Just weigh that out. Anyway, so an expert advisor is going to be someone right off the bat who helps set expectations. They're going to take time to explain the process to you of what's going to happen as you're searching for a home. That whole process, from getting pre-approved to determining what it is you want, to looking at properties, writing an offer, all of the things that go in. We're going to explain that whole process to you. And part of that explaining the process is making sure that we educate you on the market. What's going on in the market? I'm working with a buyer right now who is actually looking to buy a property as an investment property. They want to build a portfolio. They're looking for a certain amount of return to come in every month. And with our current market, with the way prices are, with what interest rates are, and with what rents are, I'm just not able to find a property that fits the budget they have to purchase that's going to get them the return that they're looking for. So either we have to wait till the market shifts a little bit, interest rates come back down some, or adjust their expectations. But part of that comes from educating you on the market. What is going on? What are homes selling for? What's the interest rate? What is all involved in seller concessions or buyer concessions? Talking to you about the market. How long is it going to take us to get a home under contract, to find a home? What are all those things involved? So we want to educate you on the market. And I try to do that, especially in all my social media posts, to do a lot of educating on the market of what's happening in our current market where I serve in the Mid-South, the Memphis metro area, West Tennessee, Northwest Mississippi. And also that expert advisor in setting expectations is going to establish a communication plan. Now, if it's actually time for you to be looking at a home, you're probably going to be having regular conversations with that buyer's agent because you're looking at homes. New homes pop up every day. They're going to be sending you lists of homes to look at that just came on the market or just had a price reduction or something updated that triggered that coming across the radar as being something that might work for you. Maybe you adjusted your expectations, so new properties are available that you didn't see before. Anyway, they're going to be getting that stuff to you, so you're probably going to be in touch with them on a regular basis. Now, if you're somebody who said, hey, yeah, I think I want to be buying a house, it's going to be 6 months to a year from now, you need to decide on a communication plan with that realtor, because the tension I feel personally is I don't want to be bugging them. I don't want to be bugging you when I know it's going to take you 6 months to save up some money, to go through the pre-approval, to finish out the length of time you need to be working on a job for a lender to lend you the money. I don't want to be bugging you about stuff. Hey, are you ready? Are you ready? But I also don't want to allow you to forget about me. So there's this tension of how do I stay in touch? How do I communicate with you to stay on your radar so that when it does come time and the money is ready, the lender says you're ready, that since we've already been talking and I've been helping you, I want to be the guy, or if it's a lady, whoever, I want to be the agent that you call because we already have a relationship. So we need to decide on the front end, what's the communication plan for us to stay in touch so I'm not bugging you, kind of like, and I use this analogy a lot, and I don't mean to be down on car salesmen, but for the most part, when you pull up on a car lot, you've got at least one car salesperson making a beeline for you, and they're going to be with you the whole time that you're looking. Sometimes it's not that way, but it's that way. Or if in a furniture store. And I don't personally want to be one of those realtors that behaves that way. I want to give you some space, but I do want to stay kind of close by so that you don't forget about me when that time comes. We all have that tension and that struggle, and different realtors do different things, but part of that expert advisor is going to be, I'm coming alongside of you as that advisor. I'm going to find a way to stay in touch with you, and let's talk about that. So we're going to establish that communication plan. So as an expert advisor, I not only set expectations, but I also bring a network with me. I have a network of industry professionals who are able to help get you the home that you're looking for. Now, these industry professionals, they're going to be other agents. And it may be that a house comes on the market. For whatever reason, I'm not available to go show it to you. I have a network of agents that work with me, partners that work with me, that if I'm not able to meet you at a property to show you a property, I can have one of them show you that property. They're not taking over as your expert advisor. They're not taking over as your personal advocate. They are representing me to open a door, to show you a house, to answer your questions. And then if you want to pursue that, then I will get back in the picture with you and help you write up the offer and get everything to completion. But I do have a network of partner agents because let's just face it, life happens. I could be sick. There was a period back in 2020, I didn't have COVID, but I got some kind of infection from dust. We have 5 acres with a pond and a lot of ducks and stuff on it. I was cutting the yard in July or August, inhaled some dust that probably was from an area where the ducks and the geese liked to hang out on the shore by the pond. I say the shore, my wife gets on me all the time. I call it a lake, and she said, it's a pond. It's an 1.5 acre pond. Anyway, an area where the ducks and the geese like to sit. So when they do that, they also go to the bathroom there. That stuff dries out, and I inhaled some of that as the dust. And in the process of taking a shower that night, trying to clean out my nose, I actually got some of that up in my sinus cavity. And it led to a very serious infection that I have since found out that I've had family members die from that infection. And I was really sick for about 3 weeks. 2 COVID tests, it was all COVID negative. But there was 3 weeks there that I was having fevers of 104, 105, hardly eating, lost about 20 pounds. I was in no condition to go show properties. So any of my buyers that were looking at properties, I had other agents stepping in on my behalf to represent me working with you. So give us a little bit of grace and a little bit of flexibility so that we can meet the timetable that you're on. But if we can't personally do it, our network of other agents and partners that we have can step in and be us for you for a brief period of time. Another one of those in our network is going to be a lender. And we probably have more than one lender. But if you don't have a lender, if you don't have someone who's been able to get you pre-approved, offered you some type of mortgage where they're going to help you pay for your home, working with a buyer's agent, we're going to bring to the table a network, a group of lenders who you can choose from that should be able to get that job done if you don't already have one. About half the buyer's agents I work with come to me after they've already talked with a lender, and the other half don't. I get to connect them with a lender. You don't have to use the lenders I suggest, but I do have a team of lenders who I would trust with my mother-in-law. And I say my mother-in-law instead of my mother or my daughters, because if something happened with my mother or my daughters, it's just going to be me. If something happened with my mother-in-law, I got to deal with my wife being upset with me because she used somebody I suggested. So anyway, just know that. I'm also going to have in that network a real estate attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I can't practice law. I can fill in blanks on forms, boilerplate forms with details of what you want in an offer. I can fill those kinds of things out, but I'm not a lawyer. If legal questions come up, then I've got a real estate attorney on speed dial that I can get an answer from pretty quickly. And so that's one of those things that I bring to the table. If you're not working with a buyer's agent, then you need to have a real estate attorney who you're able to get answers from. In that network, I have a home inspector and other types of inspectors, whether it's HVAC or water, chimney, all types of things. But more than likely, when you buy a home, you're going to want to have it inspected before you actually sign off and say, yes, I want to keep moving forward. And so once we get a property under contract, we have a time frame to get an inspection, unless you waive that, and I don't suggest it, but to get an inspection and whatever types of inspections you want, and then decide from there, yes, we do want to move forward buying this property. So I bring a home inspector to the table. I also have a network of contractors, a handyman for any repairs that need to get done, especially after the fact for you, but just know that I have a source of folks who can help you if there are some things that still need to be done in the home, or if you just want to make some changes. You're not sure who to ask, I have some of those people in my network. Hey, thank you for hanging with the Get Me Ready to Buy podcast so far. You need to know how ready you are to buy a home, so get your score at readytobuyscore.com. You'll pick a few statements, get an email telling you what your score is and what you need to focus on to get ready to buy a home. If I can help you in my market, which is the Mid-South, the Memphis metro area, please let me know. If you're in another market, I've got agents all over the country and in a few countries around the world. Reach out to me and I'll connect you with one of our agents who can help you get your home bought wherever you are. Now, back to the show. One of the things that your lender is going to want you to do is make sure that you have homeowners insurance ready to go on the day that you actually take possession of the property. I have a network of insurance agents. You may need somebody to help you move. I have some movers. I've already explained some of it a little bit, but the reason I have this network is because I'm a buyer's agent, meaning I understand the home buying process. I know how to help you show properties. I know how to help you craft an offer, get that offer accepted, move that forward to get it closed. I'm not an inspector. I'm not an HVAC professional or any other professional from that perspective. I'm not a contractor. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lender. I'm not a CPA. There are a lot of things that I'm not when it comes to representing you. So that means if you need that, I have a network of people who you can use or find whoever you want to use. But I bring to the table as your personal advocate and as that expert advisor, I bring to the table a network of people who will work on your behalf. The third benefit of having a real estate agent represent you as a buyer's agent is a professional assistant. I don't really see myself as an assistant, but from your perspective, that's what I am, because there's all kinds of paperwork that has to be navigated. I help you navigate that paperwork efficiently, making sure everything is filled out properly, and so that we can move forward. There's going to be other forms than just the contract to offer that you're going to need to complete. I prepare those for you, explain all that stuff for you, and handle all that stuff. I know the rules. I stay engaged in continuing education. I do a whole lot more continuing education than what my states require of me because I like to learn. So I keep up with what's going on. I know the rules. I know the forms. I know what the laws are when it comes to real estate. So helping you out by me knowing the rules and helping you navigate the paperwork, make sure that we get everything right. Things can still happen, but that role of me as a professional assistant to come alongside you is to handle those types of things. I also manage the calendar. We're going to need to get contracts done in a timely fashion. There's going to be some deadlines and things that happen in that contract. There's going to be inspections that we have a time frame to get that handled and to get it negotiated after the inspection. I'm going to stay on top of everything to make sure the lender gets the appraisal ordered and the appraisal actually happens in a time frame that lets the lender get everything complete so that we're able to get to the closing. And that's the big date on the calendar of the day that you actually sign all the paperwork for the lender to give you the mortgage and you to take title and deed to the property so that you can get keys and move in and make this home yours. So I'm going to manage the calendar for you, and I'm going to locate the properties for you. I know that you think as a buyer's agent, all my job is to help you find properties and open doors for you. And I'm sure there are some buyer's agents that's pretty much all they do. But I want you to know there's more to it than that. More than just being that professional assistant who has access to a key to open a door to get you in to look. There's more to it than that. The personal advocate, the professional advisor, or the expert advisor, the professional assistant, we do those things for you. One of the ways that we locate properties is looking in our multi-listing service, our MLS. Other agents list their properties that they have listed that sellers are selling in the MLS. We have access to that, and I can filter them down to, if they have a pool or if they have lakefront, what's the square footage, how many bedrooms and baths, when was it built, all that data. I can tailor for you because I know your expectations of what you're looking for, because we established that on the very beginning. So I can look in the listings. I can also ask other agents if they have anything in the network I have. Do they have something coming up that, it's going to be available soon? Those types of things. I'm also going to be looking around on the market for any unrepresented property owners who are looking to sell. Some of those may be on the market. They may be listed on a website where for sale by owners can list their properties. There's multiple ones of those. I'll check those to see if there's any homes that work for you. And if it's a particular neighborhood or area, I can actually reach out to the homeowners in that area to see if any of them are willing to sell. Just depends on what your needs are and what we're able to find in the current market that fit your needs, your desires. But my job is to locate properties for you, and that's not just doing a search on the internet and the MLS. There's more to it than that. So those are the benefits of working with a buyer's agent. You're going to have a personal advocate working on your behalf, seeking for you to be successful. And at the end of the day, we get paid, but that's not what's driving us. You're going to get an expert advisor, somebody who can help you navigate all the paperwork, negotiate on your behalf, who can bring a network of people to you to help you in this whole entire home buying process. And you're also going to get a professional assistant. We understand the paperwork, we know the laws, we manage the calendar, we locate the properties, all of those things that go into that. Those are the three benefits of having a buyer's agent work on your behalf. How do you find a buyer's agent? Well, one of the ways you find a buyer's agent is ask for referrals. You probably know some people who bought a home. Talk to them about their experience. Talk to them about the agent they had representing them as their buyer's agent. If you get great reports, talk to that buyer's agent. Call that realtor, talk to them. Find out if you're a good fit to work with them or if they're a good fit to work with you. But you can ask for referrals from those you know who have bought homes. You can also leverage a real estate network. If you are selling a home in a particular area and moving to a whole new state, city, location, wherever, and the agent who's listing your home doesn't work in that area where you're moving to, if you're moving somewhere else in the city, more than likely your listing agent can work as your buyer's agent. But if you're moving out of state, you're relocating because of job or whatever it is, family, whatever the reason is, ask your listing agent for a referral where they're moving to. I have a client of mine who bought a house. They are looking at a change later on this year, and I'm working to connect them with a buyer's agent in that area. I've reached out. I've got several. I'm vetting them a little bit because I know my client that I help them buy a home. And working through who might be a good fit for them. They don't have to use the agent that I suggest to them, but I'll have already done some of that, so they go into it not just blind of randomly calling somebody who might work with them as a buyer's agent. So ask for referrals. Do some research online. Check out their reviews. Look at social media. Just see if it's a good fit for you. You can Google or whatever you want to use using social media to try to find a buyer's agent to represent you. And once you have that, talk to them, interview them, whether that's Zoom, FaceTime, telephone, whatever it may be. Personally, have a conversation with them and don't just necessarily go with who's first. I want to be first. I want you to go with me. However, I want you to do your due diligence so at the end of the day, you're happy with the buyer's agent that you have representing you. And evaluate that agent based on their experience. And again, don't just rule out somebody brand new. I was a new agent, but I was an older new agent and I had a lot of experience in the housing market, being involved coming from a family of contractors in construction and doing things on my own. Plus, my wife and I personally have bought 6 homes and sold 5 of those all before I ever became a real estate agent. I haven't personally bought a home since I've become an agent. So I have some experience about what it takes going through that whole process of doing it on my own, working with agents. So I bring to the table a lot more than just my length of time as a realtor. What are their qualifications? And then communication. Do you like how they talk? Do you feel like you get along with each other? You're going to be kind of tied to the hip to this person for a while. There's one buyer that I worked with, and we probably looked at 20 or 25 properties and wrote more than a dozen offers on properties back in the height of COVID. And stuff she was looking for, it kept shifting a little bit because anyway, whatever that was. But the point of that is we were together an awful lot, meeting at properties, looking at properties several at a time, but we were together a whole lot. So make sure you're working with somebody who you like and who they like you. So that's finding a buyer's agent. Now, what's the cost of a buyer's agent? There are some lawsuits going on right now with the Department of Justice and the National Association of Realtors. They're the 2 parties in the case, and some other brokerages that currently in our system, when a seller lists their property, they're committing to a professional services fee to the listing brokerage. That listing brokerage is cooperating with the buyer's brokerage, the buyer's agent, in paying the fees to the buyers out of the professional services fees that the seller is paying. That means that if the listing brokerage is getting $10,000 for their professional services fee, they're cooperating with the buyer's agent, and they put in our multi-listing service, they put in the MLS what that rate is, whether it's a dollar amount or a percentage, but let's just say it's half. So there's $5,000 that the listing brokerage is going to pay to the buyer's brokerage for the buyer's agent's professional services fees. That's currently how things are going. Depending on how the lawsuit gets resolved, and that could be years from now, depending on how that gets resolved, that could change things. What that means is that some buyer's agents will tell you that they're working for you for free. Well, they're telling you that because at the end of the day, when you close and you bring to the closing table money for down payment and you bring money for closing costs, you're not bringing extra money for paying the professional services fees for your buyer's agent. That's being handled through the seller's side from the professional services fees that the seller is paying to the listing brokerage, and the listing brokerage is sharing that with the buyer's brokerage. So they're telling you it's free. That's against the law for us to tell you that our services are free, that it won't cost you anything. Well, it does cost you. It costs you in the price that you're paying for the home. You're not paying a fee for the home, paying a price for the home plus extra. It's coming out of that total sales price that the seller is getting for their home. It's being paid for. I get a buyer's agency agreement with the buyers I work with. And that agreement says that the buyer is going to pay me a certain amount for professional services fee. I'm going to do my best to get that negotiated into the sales price, so it's not additional monies coming out of the buyer's pockets. Those fees are negotiable. Some agents will negotiate more than others will. It just depends on the level of service and all the stuff that they're providing to you. Just know that when you go to see a doctor or a lawyer or a mechanic or somebody installing an HVAC system, how much are you negotiating with them on the front end? You ever go into your doctor and say, well, what's your rate of pay? Or to an attorney? Sometimes you do. Most people don't. And so just know that this is our livelihood. Yes, it's all negotiable. It may be built into the sales price for all that's in there. I have had buyers who wanted a for sale by owner that I could not get the for sale by owner to cooperate. So our listing agreement, our buyer's agency agreement kicked in, and those buyers had to bring extra money to closing to pay my brokerage for the professional services fees. So just know that it's negotiable, that the seller, the listing agent, usually covers some or all of that professional services fee for the buyers, but know that our industry is shifting. And just because it is that way today doesn't mean it's going to be that way in the future. The industry wants it that way because if you're buying a $300,000 house and you need $20,000 between down payment and closing costs, do you have an extra $5, $6, $7, $8, whatever $1,000 it is, $2,000, whatever that you negotiate with your buyer's agent? Do you have that extra to bring to the table to pay on top of all that? Most buyers don't have that. So the industry likes it because it assures you that you have the opportunity to get representation. If you just call the listing agent that's on the sign, and hey, I want you to call because I have signs out. But if you just call that listing agent and you ask them to represent you, their loyalty is going to be divided between the seller and you, the buyer. They're not going to be able to help you as much as you may like them to, based on those state laws of what they can and can't do from loyalty, for what they end up knowing. We'll get into that at a podcast at a later date. However, if you don't have a buyer's agent working for you, then you don't have that personal advocate who's seeking your best interest. You don't have that expert advisor. You don't have that professional assistant out there for you. The seller does because they have a listing agent who has a sign in the yard, but you don't have that. So the industry says if we can build in a decent professional services fee, and that's also negotiable. Every brokerage is different on what that fee is. I've seen 1%, 2%, 2.5%, 3%. I've seen all kinds of things in our MLS. Some it's just a flat fee. Whatever it is, just know that the industry likes it being built in so that it assures you that you have an opportunity to work with somebody advocating on your behalf who works for you in your best interest, and you're not having to pay extra money out of pocket. Their fee is being covered by the price that you're paying for the home. So if you're not sure about, wanting to work with a buyer's agent because you thought that you had to pay them out of pocket, you may not have to pay them out of pocket. More than likely, you won't have to pay them out of pocket. It's a possibility. I've had buyer's agents have to do that before. Just know that working with a buyer's agent is a good idea for you, for all of those benefits, that you have somebody advocating on your behalf. You have somebody advising you all the way throughout the whole process. And you have an assistant who's making sure that everything is handled in a timely fashion and correctly so that you're able to get the keys to your home and get moved in and sleep in your own bed that very first night and lots of nights after that. Hey, I hope this has been helpful for you today. Have a blessed day, and I look forward to serving you any way I can. Even if I'm not in your market, I can help you find a buyer's agent. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me today on the Get Me Ready to Buy podcast. Hopefully you found all this information helpful to you, and it's made a little more sense out of what it takes to actually buy a home, and you feel a little bit more confident about your home buying process. Now, again, as I shared earlier, if I can help you buy a home in the Mid-South or find you an agent wherever you are, just reach out to me at midsouth.homes or whatever link is here on this podcast or down below in the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on a podcast, I just mentioned the YouTube channel. There is a Get Me Ready to Buy YouTube channel where you can actually watch the podcast if you'd rather do that. If you're watching this on YouTube and you'd rather listen to it, you can find the link to getmereadytobuy.com, and you'll find where you can listen to all the podcasts wherever you get podcasts. I hope that you'll also rate and review the show. There's a link here in the show notes or here, where you can review the show and rate it so that others who are looking to buy a home just like you can find it, especially if you found it helpful. And I would love a 5-star review if this has been helpful to you. The other thing you can do is remember to get your score at readytobuyscore.com. And as always, hit the subscribe button so that you are the first to find out the latest information about what it takes for you to be ready to buy a home. Have a blessed day.